it's a bad news, good news kind of thing. The little bit of good news is that for the chemistry and physics degrees, we've reformulated and created a sort of new hybrid degree that's a more generic kind of science degree called a Bachelor of Science in Physical Science. And so that one is, going to kind of take the place of the physics and chemistry degree. So students who have an interest in those two fields can still get the needed information. It's just going to be a different degree. And then the BA in journalism is being essentially sort of folded into a track in the BA in communication. So we have a mass comm track. That's really being driven by the fact that so many of our newspapers and so many of the print journalism institutions are struggling, as we all know, because of the rise of electronic media. And we know now that sort of a multimedia approach is really better training for our students. Certainly being able to write well, speak well, and think well are critical to that. But we feel like this will be a way to help our students still get what they need for the basics of journalism, but not really be tied to one specific track, and that'll make them more marketable in the job world. So.
Now, another aspect of the news stories that were released kind of sent out some misinformation about the fact that there were 160 positions that were abolished, but not all of them were filled.
Right. We have had several positions frozen over the years through attrition. We've had faculty and staff who have left and taken other positions, and as that has happened, we've frozen those positions to try to save some money without having to actually release people. Because, of course, it's very painful to have to let go of faculty and staff, and we have done everything we can to avoid doing that.
Now, along with all of this, again, the programs that are being cut, and you did mention some consolidation, the journalism department going into language and communications, physics and chemistry kind of coming together, but there are also colleges that are going into other colleges like business and technology, that kind of stuff.
Right. We've done some elimination of deans. We've eliminated 3 deans positions. We now will have a new college of arts, letters, and graduate studies and research. Okay, so that'll take in what used to be University College, liberal arts, and graduate school, and Louisiana Scholars College will all be in that unit together. And so that streamlines and basically eliminates 2 dean positions. My dean position, when I was dean of liberal arts, essentially that position has gone away. And when Dr. Sue Weaver retired, that left her position, which then went away. And then at College of Business, we've turned that into a School of Business and put that under Science and Technology. So that new college is called the College of Science, Technology, and Business. So we're doing some things to really streamline and combine as many departments as possible. For instance, the School of Social Sciences has been reformulated into the Department of Criminal Justice, History, and Social Science. So it's going to departmental status instead of a school. So we have a lot of reorganizations going on, trying to save money wherever possible because, we know things are only going to get worse over the next couple of years.
Dr. Lisa Abney, provost at Northwestern State University. One thing we kind of touched on was kind of some of this consolidation of programs. And really, at Northwestern, 2 big colleges stand out. That's education and nursing. What's going on with those 2?
Education essentially has had an addition made to it. Health and Human Performance is moving under that college. That college is also departmentalizing, so to sort of streamline some of the functions there, because that is a very large college. The College of Nursing had a title change because we have the radiologic technology program that's now in the College of Nursing. So we just changed the title of the College of Nursing to the College of Nursing and Allied Health to be able to include the new rad science track. So I think that those are going to be positive changes. They haven't cost us anything. Those are just, really name changes. We have tried to consolidate down to as few deans as possible, and at this point we really feel that the 4 deans that we have in the academic areas are absolutely requisite, and then of course Dr. Maggio, who's our dean of students.
During the student forum that you held, you mentioned that some of the positions that were cut, these faculty were told that there might be instructor positions in the future.
Yes, in some areas we are where we have the need. For instance, positions in the core areas. We will be offering our tenured professors who were scheduled to be released an opportunity to take an instructor position at a much lower amount of pay, obviously, but that enables us to keep a more flexible workforce and helps to be able to balance the budget. So, yes, some people will have that, but essentially since December, we released 22 people in December from the university. We released about 20 civil service folks back in and moved around people back in May, and then this recent impact through these program eliminations added another 21 people. So we're around 80 people who have been or who will be released from the university over the next year, and then we're looking into the additional cuts to come. And so this is just really the first round of program elimination. We will have additional ones, no doubt.
And that's another thing I'd wanted to ask, the fact that it wasn't just teaching faculty that has been let go, it's been across the board.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. We've released faculty and staff from all areas of the university, and it's been very difficult because, we always, of course, our first goal in mind is to take care of our students and make sure that they're all right. And we know that as we release folks, it's tougher to do that. It requires the faculty and staff we do have remaining to kind of go that extra mile. And thank goodness they have been troopers. They've all taken on extra loads. We're all, I'm teaching classes more than, in general, the provost teaches one class a year, and I've been teaching about 2 a semester since I've been provost, and we're all doubling up, teaching more classes. The deans are, I am, everywhere we can, we're working to keep our students taken care of, but save money at the same time.
Now, along with dean's positions, have there been any other administrative cuts?
Mm-hmm. We've had department head, as we've moved into collapsing departments into one another and doing away with some departments, we've had several department heads and coordinator positions essentially go away. So we're doing everything we can to keep the administrative costs low. And then, like I said earlier, our administrators at all levels have had to take on more duties. All the VPs are teaching, I think all of them are teaching. We're all taking on extra duties because the people with whom we've worked in the past, we don't have the numbers anymore, so we're having to take on some of those duties.
Now, as far as the big picture here, the fact that the budget cuts are really causing all of this, and I said, and I gave the numbers that I thought I remembered, in the past couple years we have faced almost $10 million in cuts, and what are we looking at in the next couple years? Yesterday,
actually, I got some updated numbers, and Mr. Jones, our Vice President of Business Affairs Finance, and I visited yesterday for about 3 hours working on the budget for next year. And essentially we're looking at, over the next 2 years, minimum $10 million, another $10 million cut. Could be as high as $15 to $20 million. It just kind of depends on what happens with the larger economy as a whole. It will also depend upon what happens with our student enrollment as the GRAD Act comes into implementation. That's going to have an impact on how we are able to recruit students and how we're able to retain students and the funding that we get for those students that we recruit and retain.
Now, is the university expected to kind of take immediate action with the passage of the GRAD Act and go ahead and raise the tuition?
Right. We suspect that, and this is what we've heard, this has not been finalized, of course, but we are looking at potentially a 5% tuition increase, and we're not quite sure if we're going to have the authority to take that on for the fall or if that'll be a spring implementation. We would like to be able to try to offset some costs by doing it in the fall, but I just don't know if there's going to be the time, to do that. So probably the spring, we can work on the 5%. All right, we'll be back with part 2 of this interview only on KNOC on YouTube.